else. It's not like well, it's not even cursing. It's using profanity. Baba G had did a download on this too. So
Right.
it's like profanity is, when you're saying these certain type of words that maybe other people can't like grasp because they have a certain way of thinking about those. But cursing is like you cursing
Right.
somebody, telling them that they ain't shit and they ain't never gonna be shit. That's like a curse you're trying to put on somebody because everything is mental. So when they hear that, they'll be like, oh, they'll say that to themselves. So that's real cursing. But I do use profanity. If you know me, you know that I say them words because I feel like it gets a lot of people's attention, and a lot of people, especially millenniums, can relate to that type of stuff. You know.
Right. Right.
So,
Right. Right. And
so
then from what I just tuned in, it was just kind of like, okay, you're about to teach right now. You're just
peace, KB.
you're like I say, I was thinking like, is the conversation still gonna go somewhere?
I could have kept it
Keep
going,
going
but
back.
trying to get into this
Yeah,
download.
yeah, it was cool.
So, I want to talk about thoughts today. And if you don't know about this book called the Bible, then you may not know that it says in the beginning was a word, and the word was with God, and so the word was God. And as we teach, you can't have a word or anything without a thought. So the thought comes before the word. You think it, then you say it. And this is very important to understand. But also, when Babaji or what taught us that all thoughts come from man, and man is a
What?
representation of the thoughts, that was real
Yeah.
profound. At that time when I heard it, I was like, it makes so much sense. I look back in my
What? I was about
relationships.
to.
Uh huh.
Yeah. I was about to ask you, what's your definition on thought?
Well, thoughts come from DNA, but you're saying the definition, they could just look it up.
I was thinking that you was talking about the actual like thoughts as far as like with females. I was kind of confused.
No.
I thought you was gonna go in on that. I was like, okay, you're actually talking about thoughts and thinking.
Yes, thoughts. Like,
Okay,
you think it
got
and then it comes into reality. So we have to understand how powerful our thoughts are. And actually
you.
yesterday
Right.
before I got off, I was about to do a download. We was talking about robots and stuff. But what made me really press to go live, I don't know why it's lagging on here, but it's clear on Instagram, so I'm just going to put everything on my YouTube. But it was like I was going live because I was listening to there's a guru that wanted to say stuff about robots, but he got into saying that thoughts aren't everything, and he said that we need to be able to focus on a certain thing, and that's more powerful than how you think. But for me, if you're focusing on something, you're still thinking. So you're telling yourself to focus, if anything. So not the over there thoughts.
Does it matter? As long as those thoughts are positive thoughts, like good thoughts. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's basically like you want to make sure you're like sometimes you have negative thoughts that come into you, and then you want to be able to
True.
keep a higher perspective of that. So whatever, and then that's why it's important also to understand your astrology. But through understanding that, you can understand how you think. And sometimes if you have a low vibrational thought, then you can target it and then get a higher perspective on that. So you don't dwell in
Right.
negative thoughts. You have higher thoughts.
Right.
So
Right.
and your how you think it manifests into your reality, like the same thing as what you believe becomes your reality. So it's very important to get in tune and understand how you think and what you're thinking, and from there keep a high perspective, and sometimes from your perspective you might, because we are all pieces of the all, sometimes you may not be able to get the highest perspective, and that's when you look into your reflections or your environments, and maybe ask somebody else that has a good mind state of how you may be perceiving this or how you can think of this in a higher perspective.
Yeah.
Peace.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, and this is crazy, because my father is on my Instagram, and we were actually talking about, um, the children being like, the consciousness or awareness of the father. So when I look at myself as teaching into the knowledge and stuff that I'm in, I see that within my father as well. So I can understand that. One thing I wanted to, figure out as far as the females, I'm a manifestation of my father. But with my mother, I want to know basically like she is the same thing. So she's a manifestation of her father. So I want to understand, do we get, and I'm thinking this is true, like we get the thoughts from our father and our grandfather from our mother's side, if that makes sense. But whenever Babaji has said that everything comes from a thought and the man's thoughts, it just made a lot of sense for me because of in relationships, like I would take on the man's thought patterns and then go on,
Baby.
and go on to the next. And also just looking into the world. Now you could say, oh, a woman can think too. A woman can bring things to the table too, which is true. But the women have to understand like we're still getting our thoughts from a man in society. So
Okay, look, exactly what he said, Honor, is exactly what I dive head first into their world. Always have.
Right.
yes.
I'm sorry. It's just true
Yes.
for me. It's just really true.
Right, it's true for me too. And I know a lot of society, like a lot of people in society, be like, "Oh, a woman, da 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 da," and this is not. It's just like a woman and men both have powerful roles in this, in the world. So it's not to take away from the woman. It's just to be real and honest with yourself. And to me, I'm
Exactly.
not a dumb bitch. Like and I'm smart, so I feel like I'm gonna be honest with myself because I want to know the truth all the way. So it's kind of like it made sense to me then, and still makes sense to me now. And and when we say we're reproducing the man, it's true as well. Like if you look at the children, they are a reflection of the father, and that's why I feel like a lot of times that mothers take the children away from the father and want to keep them away and this and that, and you're really doing damage to them. Even though you may think that, oh, I don't want my kids to be around this father because of blah blah blah. It's kind of like the son or the daughter, whatever. When they grow up, they're still gonna want to know who their father is, no matter what you done told them this and that. It's kind of like I think you're doing a disservice when
That's
you
right.
take them away from the father.
Yes, ma'am. They're gonna find out. They're gonna seek it themselves, like they have their own path, like Baba G said.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I know we've been programmed to think that we own our children and that we can basically
No, we don't.
I know, like we don't own you don't own your children. And you start to program them already from the system and then you start to be like, well, I want my child to be this when they grow up and stuff. It's just like a lot of these children don't want to go to college. They're just doing it for their family. They have so
Yep.
many different things that they can bring to the universe and basically they're being programmed through other people to not do that, to go against what's naturally in them. So I think
Yeah.
we do have to understand we don't own our children. Everybody is here. They're all a piece of everything. So we are here to become like once we are aware and we become aware that we are everything, we're all connected in a certain way, then we do come back to our ego and we understand how we are as the piece. And we have to vibrate our piece at the highest so that we can be able to that's our gift to humanity is being the best version of ourselves. So if everybody's all doing the same thing like we do in America and stuff, it's kind of like a disservice to humanity. Like we're all, if you look at a child, you can tell it's different. Like it thinks different, it does things in a different way. But when we start to program it, that's when we start to take away its authenticity. So
Yes, ma'am.
we have,
See, I try to foster the good in my kids, and the things that they like to do. I like to support them in it. I don't want them to be like me. I want them to be better, but I want you to choose your own path. Like I want you to, lead your own way.
right, right.
That's what I want. Sorry.
Yes, that's a fact. And, I guess while we're talking about it, I still feel like and I know I have certain opinions that is like way different than most people, but I still feel like the mother, a single mother, and I made this and a lot of people like talked about it, made a video about it, but it's like a single mother, raising a child, all you're doing is nurturing the child, which is a part of, life and this is good. But I also feel like, you keeping away from the father is a disservice. And I feel like a lot of mothers, they are basically like they're still looking for a man to lead them in a certain way, to provide and protect for them. So then they start to get with other type of men, and they bring them into the household, and they end up finding out that's not the right one for them. So I truly feel like the father should be the one that has the children. I feel like if a lot more fathers had their children in their life, they would be more like, I guess, righteous. They would be more like on their shit. And I know people are like, oh, deadbeat this and deadbeat that. But if that father had the responsibility to take care of their child, they would. That's what. And the same thing. The man wants to provide and protect, not only for the woman but for his seeds. So taking that away from a man is taking his power away. It's another form of emasculating. What'd you say, V?
I was saying, if you sit back and you look at some children, and it's a large percentage that do not have their fathers like in their, lives.
Yeah.
It doesn't go too well. I'm not saying all. I'm saying a vast majority though.
Mm-hmm. And what happens is the male will go outside and start to learn from a male figure anyways. They're going to learn from the streets.
Yep.
They're going to go and get locked up doing crazy stuff because they don't have guidance. The father is like a guide. And even if you don't have the biological father, it's your duty as a woman to find a righteous guide for that father. So a lot of times we have problems, so we're looking for a relationship, and you got voids and these generational curses. So you're not choosing the right man righteously because you're not whole. You're trying to still be whole. But it's our duty to be able to do that. And like I said, that's what they do. They end up going to the streets. They're finding the masculine figure anyways. And so
Absolutely.
yes. So it's just like, I feel like we have to just be all the way honest. I know that we have a lot of feelings. I know that we've been programmed through generations, but if it makes sense, it makes sense. I'm here for humanity. I look at it. If everybody thought like this, how would the world be? I feel like if the men had their children, instead of being taken away from their children, instead of being like the woman tell you got to go get a job, you got to pay child support, you're getting locked up over this shit. It's kind of like the man is going to take responsibility, and it's just righteous. And I feel like a man, not only that, a man is supposed to be polygamous. He's supposed to have his own kingdom, and he would be able to bring in other women around his children to be able to nurture the child as well.
Man, 99, I'm going to go with the percentage again. 99% of these men are already seeing more than one woman at a time.
Yeah.
Like, be honest.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
That's a fact. And we can look at the European system and see that it's not working. You can look at the marriages and stuff, and people are just, most divorces end because of supposedly cheating or infidelity. If you even look up the word cheating, I did a little video about this. I don't think I never released it. But if you look up the word cheating, is to get ahead. It has some other words in there. I know it's to get ahead. And it's kind of like you have to figure out what is it that how is the man trying to get ahead by cheating and by having multiple wives or multiple women that he's involved with. Maybe you have to learn how to do it the righteous way. But if you just look at it beyond the surface, beyond the physical, and beyond what we've been taught, you'll just see the energy about it is that men are able to have multiple women, and another woman don't even know about the other woman. Because they're just like so good with it, but then it's like I feel like the way we program, society's programmed, the woman thinks it's her right to be monogamous. It's she feels bad. I feel like a lot of it comes from insecurities and not understanding who we are, not knowing our place, like not knowing who you are, like what you bring to the table. You start looking jealousy, you start looking at the other women and stuff like that. And not only that, we got a whole system that backs up monogamy, because they know that is what's going to make their shit strive. Like if you have a lot of polygamous groups in your system, it's not going to strive unless your system is righteous. If your system is righteous, then you will be able to be like, okay, like the people are going to support you without the greed, without the misdirection, without the like playing with your mind and stuff like that. you would just be like, you would be totally honest and real as the system. So then you'll be like, okay, do what you want to do. But, if you want to be in my system, utilize this, then this is what you have to do. But the American system is set on greed. A lot of people that are, making decisions are scared. They created things within fear. So these are all like deadly sins. These are sins and how the system was created. And I understand the revolutionary part of it, but it's still like a European type mindset, and I just don't agree with it. So it's just I just don't agree with it. That's period. But if you understand it and you agree with it, that's you. I know a lot of people don't understand, like, the system is causing you dis-ease. It's causing you stress in your life. Going to work all day, every day, like not being able to be in your essence. Like these things are causing stress and mucus to your body. So, we have to look at that. Period. Like,
Right. Yeah.
peace,
I
Melly.
agree. Like I say, that's a like I say, when you look at as far as all of the major spots like Burger King, all of these fast food restaurants, like I say, these are the big drug dealers, as I've always spoken on. And then you got all of these corporate day jobs. It's kind of just like, say, something that is, what the system is set up for, and what they strive to do with it, and it's not really intertwined to what we're trying to talk about or anything as far as with we're talking about health or consciousness or any type of awareness. It's not. It's to be deaf, dumb, and blind. So the reality, I
I'm
think, is
thankful.
kind of really, we would have to create our own society and our own system outside of the box. Like I say, just kind of being that kind of, like I say, that create your entire world for the next generation to study up on, as far as like everybody in that system, and you just got to make it make sense type of attitude
Mm-hmm.
for the next generation.
Right.
Because like I say, this stuff, that television, like I say, once I got rid of that television, like I say, it made a lot of sense, because that television is basically a bunch of programming.
Yeah.
Or just like there's more stuff I can say that's on the internet, because our internet has a thing where you can, there's bull crap on the internet, but it's like you got the options to search
Right.
stuff and remove those commercials.
Yeah, it's like the Ethernet.
Right. So that's one thing I'm kind of really happy about with that. But still, like I say, scrap this whole system. Like I say, just throw this away. Like I say, we create a mucus-free environment, like
Mm-hmm.
a actual institution based around for our children, where it's going to be like a school where there's going to be a bunch of unions of people homeschooling. It's going to be a bunch of folks that are preparing their children's food, as far as like having something that is unique, beneficial for everybody that think just like us, outside of the world that we live in.
Right. That's a fact. And it's like, the reason, like, a lot of people would be like, oh, you need to be, at the house, taking care of your kids, working the job, a real job. They tell you get a real job. They tell you that you need to be, going to the supermarket, feeding them this, and that. And it's just like, I feel like I'm not going to like go back and forth with anybody about, because I know what I believe, but I'm always open-minded to hear certain things. And a lot of people don't understand the spiritual journey is one with self. And it's to always self-reflect and to be the best version of yourself, to get the answers that you need within, to be able to bring change to society. And a lot of times when people even Buddha and go into a spiritual journey, they're in a certain like culture that is majority out of tune. They're out of tune with nature. And most spiritual gurus, they will go to nature to get their enlightenment. So, and they go by themselves. So it's about getting in tune with yourself, in tune with your own energy. And I am literally like, I care about humanity so much, but I literally do the things that I do for my children and for their children, and other children in the world, and anybody that can hear, anybody that can get this, because I am a rebellion. Everything in my chart or astrology or energy, it does like lead up to the reason why I'm doing what I do and what I believe in. But it's basically like the things that I do is for other people. Like we say, like our life don't belong to us, meaning that it belongs to the world. We're here to make change in the world. It's not to be, oh, like I drove a Porsche and I had a big mansion and this is what I did with my life. Like that's not something that makes the world a better place. Like that's just greed, and we have to understand the deadly sins. And I can understand, okay, America, they created certain things because they wanted to be able to secure themselves, I would say, out of fear, fear that they were going to be killed off, out of anger from the other systems that they were a part of, that was already disconnected, out of and then they start to get greedy. I was riding down the street the other day and I see all the businesses, and I look at everything on the outside of you is a symbol, and it's meant for you to understand something within you. So, I try to figure out what it is. I know it's the Matrix. I know it's the Babylon system, but I also understand like barter and trade and stuff like that. But it comes to a point where you're starting to work for money and material gain, and instead of working for yourself and being like and working for God, Allah, like, so it turns into greed. Like when you see all the Walmarts and the fast food restaurants everywhere, like you don't need all that. What are you doing with that energy that you're harvesting? Because money at its core is energy. So you're thinking, oh, I'm getting $1 for working. No, you're giving your energy to a system in order to power it. So whenever you're looking at a barter and trade, is supposed to be exchange of energy. And what are you exchanging for? You're exchanging your energy to get dollars so that you can pay rent, so that you can pay back the system. All you're doing is powering the system up. And that's not life. You're here to live, not life. So, I understand the barter and trade. I understand, living sustainably, and I understand maybe, needing to get certain things. Tribes around the world, they have certain things that they do. Maybe create cloths, create jewelry, harvest food, and get it out to the world in exchange for energy. But that's not the core of their life, and it don't go overboard to greed.
Right. I was about to add too. I think if you're basically treating your body right and doing all the right principles as far as healing yourself, and I guess including teaching as well, as far as this is a big part of this as well. Me and you are getting online and stuff. But I think, if you are doing all of these types of things, the universe is going to give you what you need, versus the universe is not going to give you what you want. It's going to give you what you really need.
Right.
Like I need a car, but I don't need an expensive Ferrari or any type of Porsche, just like what you was talking about. Yeah. I need some resources where I can basically get I can get an orchard or get some land, but I don't need any type of bull crap. It could be, we could say, for example, we don't need a football field. Where all of that land, we got all of that land for a football field, where we could be building a always going to give you what you need instead of what you really want.
Right. The universe is going to send you, yes, what you need. And sometimes when you are out of balance, it's going to send you things to show you that you're not in balance with yourself. You're not loving yourself. You're not understanding yourself. That's in the form of people, and symbols and certain things or events that happen to you. But also when you have to understand that you have to like focus on your growth, on yourself, and the universe will then send you certain things. So if you're focusing like, oh, I need this house, I need this car, but you're not looking at yourself and what you're here to give. It's like give without season. It's like, what can you give to the world instead of focusing like, I need this, I want it all to come to me, I want this, I want that, because this is like whatever you focus on can come to you, but that don't mean that it's always right for you either. So sometimes you have to just put out whatever you're here to give. Like you play the flute. You have to play, like we said this other day, you just got to play the flute. I definitely believe all men should be focusing on their mission and their purpose in life. Whatever you are here to bring, like do that consistently. And now that we have the internet, like I seen my child's father's mother, she continuously posts like certain videos, even though I don't agree certain things she talks about, but at least she's putting her frequency out into the world. So this is going to help with future generations. So even my father here is like, you know how to preach, you know how to teach, you should be doing that. That's what you should be leaving humanity and leaving your future generations. Like whatever your mindset is, leave that to the world, continuously do that. And then when you're in that essence, when you're in the things that you're supposed to do, you're here to bring humanity, that's when the universe is going to really bless you. But you can always get blessed by saying, I need $1 million. A lot of people, you put up a check of $1 million. Like I think Drake and some other people, they had a check of $1 million on their shit and they seen it every day and it came to them. But that's how manifestation works when you're focused on something. But as far as like what you really need in the world is to have faith and to do what you came to bring, like give. And then the world is going to give you more than what you even think. Like you're focusing so much on money, but what about if you focus on what you're here to bring the world, and then the world or the universe gives you something that's more valuable than money. So that's why I say a lot of people are like, oh, I want to make $10 an hour. But if you stop, or $15, $20 an hour, but if you really just do what you love to do, then you might make more than that. But since you're so focused on that $20, that's all you're going to get. You see?
Yeah. And I was just thinking like,
I'm thankful, Q.
Because I know like with Dick Gregory, he spoke about as far as with water fast.
Grateful.
And he talked about as far as there was so much things that was going on during that water fast, where it was like the universe gives a lot of things in mysterious ways to him, and it was like he wasn't eating nothing,
Grateful.
but he was just. It was like he was. I think if you, like I say, if you don't receive food or any type of substantial thing for a while, and you discipline yourself and train yourself this way, the universe is gonna give you, like I say, what you said, what you need to receive at that time. So yeah, it's kind of just like when Dick Gregory did those water fasts at those times, and like I say, things were happening as far as like he was manifesting things into his universe at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes. So it's like important to be able to focus on that, because sometimes you think you need what you want is not what you need. Sometimes you'll manifest certain things that you want, but it's not what you truly need for growth. Another example would be like a lot of people like, I want a relationship. I just want somebody. But you don't ask for specifics, because the only way you're able to be able to ask for specifics is if you know yourself. Once you love yourself and you know yourself, you'll be able to say, this is exactly what I want. And that will come if you're ready for it. But sometimes the universe is going to send you other things into your life to test you, to see if you're really even like serious about it. If you know yourself, like if I say I know myself and I know that I want this type of person in my life, then the universe will send a different type of person that maybe you get a connection with, but they show you that they're not the ones for you. But then you're still like the universe is asking you, do you truly know yourself? Do you truly love yourself? Like, are you going to just be with this, knowing that that's not what you truly deserve, or are you going to have faith? Are you going to have faith and keep going? So
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
amazing. I'm grateful.
Yeah. You can keep going. I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
you can go. If people have something they want to
Yeah.
say, if they want to ask on Instagram, let me know. And I'm always a responder. So if you're able to talk to me and say something, I'm good with talking back.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was about to say, so y'all came up with a new program, as far as like how to do the Beagle as far as the videos. I heard y'all was just talking about that when you got on here.
Oh yeah, I think you're saying that he's gonna do like YouTube videos and show them on this Bigo screen. Like sometimes
Yeah.
you can stream a
Yeah.
game system and then it will pop up as the video. So instead of you talking like we're talking, then it would just be the video, and then we'll be able to show the video like that.
Right. Yeah, that's
Peace,
kind of
PP.
interesting. Just a couple of days ago, because I know like a lot of these videos are being recorded
Yeah.
from not just from nature, but also from other channels out there as well. Oh, I was going to ask you, what is your thoughts on that as far as just like people that record the lives and being copying, cut and copy stuff?
You mean like the
I
trolls?
mean, if you want to go into that. Yeah.
Oh, I just feel like anybody that looks at someone else and they judge them on a negative point to say, look, like this is a bad person. I see, because obviously we can see that a person is going to everybody's love at their essence. So somebody is teaching their knowledge and their truth, and then somebody else is watching. I see positivity. I see knowledge. I gain a lot of information. But somebody else may see like negative, and they only focus on the negative, and they perceive things in the wrong way because of how they think.
Right.
And it's basically like if you're a devil, and a devil meaning in a low vibration or a negative thought pattern, you're going to see more devil. Like that's what you're projecting into your reality. So that's all you can really see until you change your perspective on things and have a healthier perspective,
Right.
and realize that everybody is loved. So even if they are doing things that you may not agree with, you just don't understand it, and you don't maybe know where it came from. It could be a generational curse. But to me, like whatever, like we teach on here, I agree, and I get everything.
Yeah. And you know what's so interesting to me was kind of just a couple of days ago, and this didn't happen to me once. This happened to me twice before. But just a couple of days ago, I got a phone call from somebody as far as like a close close member that lives here in Ohio. Somebody that I know. I wouldn't really say that they're too much of a friend because they don't really hit me up as often. But then they said they seen me on Nature video.
Oh, God.
I was on it. Yep. They
I know.
was like trying. Yeah. It was kind of like trying to talk me going over the Carver Nation. I was like, man, like what? My response was kind of just like, I think Nature, he has his views. I have my own views, and I think everybody is entitled to their own opinion with the thing. And I don't really, like I say, I don't want to judge nobody's personal life. I strictly got on here because of the knowledge and the information.
Yeah.
So when I was talking to this person, it was like it was kind of just like everything she was talking about was just not just bashing as far as just
Peace, New.
his actual YouTube page, like Carbonation TV or Nature Boy TV. You did not watch that. So,
Right.
like, yeah,
Right.
yeah. So it's kind of like that sticky situation where you got people that are kind of judging you, and they're just looking at you. So now it's kind of just like I got people that are in my city now that's gonna probably be like looking at me like weird.
Nah, fuck no. Nah, because
That's why you gotta know your truth.
And they're not taking the information that is relevant for them to become a better person and using it. They're sitting there and looking at somebody's life that is none of their business. It's not your business. You understand?
Right.
Take the shit you need, apply it to your life to make you a better person.
Right.
That is said. I'm not
You
giving
can
to
inbox
nobody.
me.
That's not my job. My job is to get this information
Right.
that I need because
Yeah,
my
you can
spirit
inbox
is.
me.
So let me tell
I
you
think
something.
my Cash App is
The
the
person that I was
Divine.
talking with, she
I
was
forgot.
very, very miseducated growing up.
Yep.
And I can see now that she's
I'm
trying
thankful though.
to get into some type of information, like she's trying to explore.
Yeah.
But my problem about with her is kind of just like she never applied any type of diet because she came into my because we have a page called Mucus Free Life. That's kind of like my group too. And she came right into
I
our
don't know where
group
my
page, our
tablet is.
Facebook group page, and said something about like I eat meat, and she was trying to justify eating meat was positive in our group page. So this did not have anything to do with carbonation at the time. This was all mucus free life. So it's just the same person. I spoke with her when she left a donation. She was contributing to my music. So
Crazy.
yeah. It's kind of like you
What
got
book
that.
would you recommend?
I get it, Blue. I feel you.
The only I can inbox you too. You
Believe
can
you
inbox
me.
me.
Yeah.
The only book you would ever need on astrology.
I want to look at. I'm going to get that book.
Yeah. So what was some of the other books?
Say that again.
What was some of the other books? Was y'all there when we named those books?
Yeah, it was. Girl, I left the list in my classroom. Yes, I wrote them down. There was one by Elijah Muhammad, but I can't remember the title of it.
Elijah Muhammad. I know there's one
There was
about
a
melanin.
melanin
Melanin.
book as well. Because I wrote them down. I need to up my book collection.
Thankful.
But I apologize. I don't have the exact name and author.
Oh, Baba G. We trying to remember those books you gave us.
Yeah, I wrote them down.
I will get you if you inbox me. I will send the books to you.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I was talking to somebody else.
Oh, well, me too. Damn
Okay,
it.
I'm gonna get those. I know what Elijah Muhammad. I think I know one is about melanin and one is about being God.
I tell you, I wrote them all down. I just left them in my classroom.
What kind of classroom?
Well, I teach science, actually.
Really?
Yeah, middle school. So,
I always wanted to have my own school.
I know. That's why I thought your idea was like, ooh, it's genius. Like, it is.
Yeah, I mean, basically, with the knowledge that we have, like, you're a teacher. That, like, just because you're teaching for like a certain job or whatever, you're still a teacher at its core. So you can be able to, like, you're a teacher, V. You got to be teaching the knowledge that we talk about, like, online and stuff.
And guess what? I am to these children.
That's
I
what's
have
up.
been explaining things to them. We're on
Holographic
astrology right
universe.
now. So I'm about to do that chart. Like, I am now. It's
That's what's up.
crazy. It's crazy, Honor.
Yes.
My life is crazy right now. It's like, wow, right now.
He said a
Now,
holographic
Honor,
universe book too.
oh,
What'd you say?
well, yeah. I was about to ask you. So, what do you think about as far as other teachers outside of carbonation? Do you get any type of benefits as far as other spiritual cats or any type of like what's your thoughts on anybody else as far as just like certain things that you have learned or anything?
That's a fact.
Was carbonation the only thing that you really resonated with?
Yeah. Well, when I was in school, I used to like I dropped out of school in ninth grade, and I like could not stand learning about history. And I was just like, why do I need to hear about these presidents and this and that? Like, I want to look to the future. I want to just work. So I started working for a long time, and then I eventually, after like 5 years, I was like, well, let me just go, or whatever years it was, I was just like, let me go and try to take this GED. So I took the GED and I passed on the first try after those years of being out of school. And
Right.
after that, I was like, well, actually, I met a guy, and that's why I like the thoughts come from males, and the males are able to teach and lead and stuff like that, and they have to know that. So you have to be in tune with yourself. But the guy was so deep into history and to the Black Power movements and stuff. So before that, I was always into entrepreneurship. And so when I was introduced to that, I was like a history geek, and I used to study history all the time. I was working my businesses or studying history from the time I opened my eyes to the time I closed. I just study everybody's perspective, and I'll get my own, thoughts on it. And
Anna, real quick.
yes,
Was that the same history you were learning in school?
no,
Exactly. That's why it didn't resonate with you. That
right,
history in school, it's not about us. It has nothing to do with us. That's why it
exactly.
didn't fool you.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And so because I got to learn on my own. See, when I dropped out of school in ninth grade, I went to a secondary school, and in that school, I was able to learn on my own, and I was able to get credits on my own. So I was getting credits higher than the people in my class because I was able to. If I take the test and pass, then I'll get the credit for that ninth grade math or 10th grade math. I would just get credits on my own terms, and that's how I learn easily is just on my own. And so I started studying history and understanding because I am collected to the conscious collection. Like I'm able to understand like the conscious collection of everyone, like how everybody thinks, majority of people in the world. So I have my opinions on that, and so it got to a point I was studying each history from history, but then I would study like the black leaders, and I was trying to figure out like where the hell is the solutions. So then I started studying like the spirituality, and with spirituality I studied different gurus, but I realized like they're not nothing compared to how Babaji teaches. Like Babaji is totally real and gonna say anything. You can ask him any question and he's gonna speak on it. And a lot of people like Sadhguru, I learned certain things from him, but still Babaji like surpasses that knowledge to me. And because he says everything, and Sadhguru is holding back on certain things. And that's actually the person that was talking about robots that got me to come on here yesterday, because he was like, thoughts aren't everything, but how is he explaining it? I was like, that don't make sense. And I know he's paid off. I know a lot of our black leaders, a lot of our spiritual leaders, they're sellouts.
Absolutely.
They're like sellouts, and they will do things based on money, and they will start to only preach certain things based on whoever's paying them. So a lot of like Sadhguru, he's big in the spiritual community, but he already, in one of the videos that I attracted to myself, he already said he wants to get money to take it back to his hometown, to India. And Baba G's here for the Black American. So, and that's where I feel most drawn to. In a relationship at that time, they was like, oh, Black people always talking shit because Black people talk shit to me or whatever, but I don't even care as long as I'm preaching what I feel like is something that's gonna help. It don't matter what you think. I don't care, and I always felt connected to that. So my ex was like, no, you need to just get in touch with your white side, go with the white people, but I could never do it, and so I'm just connected to that, like and he was the one that got me into the Black Power stuff, and he was just like, Black people talking shit, they ain't trying to help you, and all this and that. But his purpose and his mission in life is different from me. And so it got to him when Black people would talk shit, but it don't get to me. Like, I don't care. As long as I'm telling you the truth, I don't care if you like it or not. You can say whatever you want to say. I'm going to still talk and say it because this is my purpose. I'm here to be able to help and I know somebody going to hear it. So, I want to spread that. But I had to listen to Sadhguru, and it just didn't make sense. Babaji is just so real. He's going to talk about everything. And a lot of those people are sellouts, so they're only going to be able to talk about certain things, certain questions he's asked. He don't speak on it because he's being paid by other people. And just like BBC or some other people tried to come in and pay Baba G to be able to do this and that, he was just like, no, he's just going to do him, be him. So it's very important not to sell out for material gains and for what the world got to offer you, because they're going to come in and do it because they know they can make money from you. Like, sit you up and you can't be yourself. Yeah.
So, what's your thoughts on because when we talk about like cats like China, what's your thoughts on Sebi, Dr. Sebi?
Dr. Sebi, yeah, I feel like that he brought a good awareness. I feel like that his transition, or what you call death, but his transition was for a reason. I know a lot of people that die and that has like a big outbreak in the world. It's a deeper meaning. It's a deeper reason, not just to mourn or whatever and cry and this and that. It's to bring a change, just to bring awareness, just like in Jesus supposedly. It's just like to bring some type of awareness. So I feel like for what he stood for in his life is great. I did listen to interviews of his family and people in his circle trying to take advantage of him, and his family now being like, oh, I'm going to sell this and stuff. But I believe that, however he was raised, I feel like that's his mission, his purpose. And I believe he brought a good awareness, but I also see that he's really, really skinny, and that maybe it was something, or maybe the people around him, I don't know, but I think it was maybe something that was maybe off based off of how like skinny he was, but maybe it wasn't. I'm not sure, but I know that his awareness and his mission, the things that he came to bring, was for a greater cause, and it changed a lot of people. A lot of people started looking at what they're eating, once that happened.
Right. Now, my piece about it was, when I brought Sebi up, I didn't really bring Sebi up. I always heard Bobby, she talk about Sebi, and I know he said some good things about him. I know as far as when he talked about, as far as like a lot of these spiritual gurus are in it, as far as trying to make the money and stuff, and trying to sell products or just like drugs and stuff. Or I know, he's not really talking about selling any type of like remedies and stuff. He's about like let's just heal the problem. So my thing about it was
Peace Stream.
Everybody doesn't really know a lot that Dr. Sebi got a lot of his information from Professor Arnold Ehret. Now, he quoted Professor Arnold Ehret a couple of times, but he didn't really quote a lot about Ehret. I'm talking about as far as the data. Professor Arnold Ehret's information and knowledge on diet and science goes a little farther than Sebi. I honestly feel like the reason why a lot of people resonated with Sebi, it was more of the Black community, because the thing about with Professor Eric, Professor Arnold Eric, he was a German, and he, like I said, it was more, like I say, like white people, like black people didn't resonate with white folks like that. It was kind of like, but my thing about with Eric was Eric's thing goes a lot farther. It didn't really matter if you're black or white. If you're talking about some truth and the shit is there. And at the same time, Eric never sold any type of product. The only thing that he sold was a book. And that's it. You can't really make a lot of money off a book. That.
I'm gonna give you some information to follow me where I go live at. Right? No, that's true. I look at like I look at white people are being misled too. Like they're a part of the system that is totally misleading.
Right,
I see a lot of white people rebel against that system.
Yeah, check this out. So the thing about how Professor Arnold Eric died is very, very suspicious as far as like everybody kind of thought that he was murdered because he said there was a quote in his book where he talks about white people losing their color. And like I said, he talks about this in Germany stuff as far as like sunless man is like I say, the pale white skin as far as like when he's talking about the white corpuscle that cannot be considered beautiful with considering like lack of mineral salts or lack of melanin, we call it. So this cat was talking this stuff in the 1800s. And they said that, and well, if you were to read it in the book, it was said that he was like he died by walking down some steps and falling and hitting his head. That's how the guy died. But honestly, a lot of people think that he was murdered.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always feel like it's this thing against people that are trying to do something positive for humanity. I'm sorry. I always feel like that.
Yeah.
I can't see it. I'm blind.
Oh, you can't see it? Hold on.
Yeah, can you come a little bit closer?
That's the guy.
Yeah, I think that too. I think it's kind of like even the story with Jesus is like, speaking your truth, and certain people may not want to hear that. I know we read that, oh, they said that it's blasphemy and you're saying stuff that's not true. But what if there's certain people that back in that time knew that it was true, but didn't want other people to hear that?
To know that, exactly.
Yeah, that could have been something.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of just like a conspiracy thing. So honestly, things like I say, Professor Arnold Eric's work should. I feel, in my honest opinion, I think his work should definitely be looked into and get some information that would just bring it all together. So that's just my opinion. I highly recommend check out the Mucus Diet.
Hey, Mama, how you doing?
I'm good. This is my father. Hold on.
No, I didn't want to interrupt you. I want to speak to you before, then we can actually get on here. But I don't want to interrupt your conversation that you're having right now. Of course, I want to get back to what we can do. I know you guys are speaking about other people and leaders of that in the past. But when you guys get back on the topic of what we can do, I think I want to touch bases on that. But we need to get together, young lady. Okay?
Okay. Inbox you too. Check your inbox.
Huh?
You got to check your inbox. I inboxed you.
Okay, I got it. All right. Love you, baby girl.
All right, I love myself.
Yeah.
He said, when am I going back to the tropics? Soon. Okay. I'm in the subtropics, so you know. But I need to be in like definitely tropics, a tropical environment. I found out that not too long ago that my father's part of the family is from the Virgin Islands. So I didn't know that. So I was like, oh wow. And then they moved here to go to New York. They moved from the Virgin Islands to New York, and they were like preachers and teachers. So I can see where I got that from. I'm grateful. What's so yes. He likes to preach about the gospel, Bible, stuff like that. Okay, what was y'all saying?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I was just really just talking about as far as I think that the mucus's diet healing system, written by Professor Arnold Ehret, should be checked out because I know a lot of people don't really know about it, considering, I mean, Sabi's information is a little bit more out there than I think this cat, considering I think with the mucus diet healing system, I feel like you do have to search for it on an aspect, but yeah. But I think the one thing I can say is Eric wasn't about selling products. He was all about healing people naturally.
Yeah.
Like I say, yeah, that he was doing experiments on himself, and yeah, his thing was kind of like what I talk about is the transitional diet, and he talks about as far as people doing the water enemas, where we talk about we kind of upgraded our version with doing lemon enemas. So that kind of took it up another step as far as being able to detox and cleanse our bowels. So I'm actually about to do an enema probably in another hour or so. But yeah, that's a very, very important part of transition is to keep that mucus moving. You want to keep everything moving in your body. You don't want stuff to sit. Like you don't want toxicity to build up. That it's like mentally when we let things just sit, and we don't try to make no type of effort to change or to aspire to be greater than the next level. That's how our bodies are operating. So
Right.
it's always kind of just like we gotta, like I say, I think the more you clean that mucus out, what did my father say? He made a new sign called "Clean That Ass," and like I say, the ultimate goal is to always, yeah, like I say, we got to keep on cleaning ourselves up every step we make, because like I say, if we got generations of fecal matter of like I say, as I call it, that's generations of karma of our actual generational curse is built up fecal matter in the body, which is still hasn't eliminated properly. I think, however, we can clean clean our bodies out. We can get our minds together where we can always think pure and all on the right track, and always we will be in clarity.
Yeah, well, we teach. I understand that, but don't you think the body is a manifestation of the mind?
Can you speak on that a little bit? far as what
It's like everything that we see is a manifestation of the metaphysical. So however you're thinking, like how your thoughts are, that's how you like how what manifests into your body. If you're thinking negative, you're thinking down, you're manifesting to dis-ease and stuff like that. Yes, it's important to take care of the body. The body is like your mind as well. So it's like you take care of your body, take care of the mind at the same.
That's what I'm saying is for people that are on the transition and as far as like that are starting, that are coming from the American-based diet, that don't know anything about diet or anything. Like I say, I'm talking about as far as like we're really getting there and kind of doing that research on our body as far as like really
Yeah, I understand. I feel like that's another part of your purpose in life because of how you grew up. You grew up, you didn't eat no meat at all. You never ate no meat. You never ate drunk dairy or anything. You never put anything like that into your body. So that's a part of your purpose to bring that awareness to the society and to humanity. Okay, my father said I teach on authentic person, nothing else. That's the same thing. Like we need to get back to being our authentic version. You said I love myself. I'm gonna start using that. So we spell self as CELLF, and this is just to remind us, like we say, I love myself, to remind us that we are all one. And if you don't, some people don't understand it or can't grasp it, you have to go deeper into like understanding like the universe and understanding energies. But we are all made up of living cells. And even though our body is made up of living cells, everything that's living on earth is made up of cells. So, and we are all, and simultaneously, we are everything here on earth. The only reason that you think I'm separate from you, or we think differently, is because we think differently. It's because of our egos, because we are at the same time a piece of it all. The analogy that we give is that a piece of glass. Think if you have a piece of glass. This is everything in the world, a piece of glass. And we drop the glass and it breaks. So if you have this piece and that piece, it's still glass. It's just different. It looks different. The light bends differently with it. So what makes us think that we're separate is how light bends in our mind, which we call the ego. A lot of people tell you, oh, get rid of the ego. It's not to get rid of the ego. It's to understand the ego and ascend the ego to the highest points. So if you have a certain thing about yourself, then you have to be able to have the highest perspective. You can say, oh, you got low vibes. Well, if you have a low vibration, you need to figure out how to get it higher. It's not to change the vibration, it's to uplift it, it's to make it enlighten it. So when we know that we are all one, that's one dimension, is to understand that we are everything. But we also have to come back into our ego to know that I'm a piece of everything. And me being that piece, it just shows like I perceive life differently than other people. But if me being my authentic piece, which we were just talking about, I need to be the most authentic version of my piece. That is what we give to humanity. We give our authenticity to humanity in order to help each other. Like, okay, we're all different pieces of this glass. But if I'm my authentic piece and I don't think I'm something different than that piece, I think I know my piece. I'm able to give that to humanity so we can understand each other in different ways. And that's why we say love is everything. Because once you understand, love is understanding. And at our essence, we're here to have complete love, complete understanding for life. So when we understand I'm different from you, we think different. Like you can have an understanding for each other. That don't mean you have to be around people that you don't vibe with you. It's just to have an understanding. But, understand like when you understand yourself, you'll know who needs to be around you, who don't need to be around you, stuff like that. But it's not to have hatred for anybody else, but to know it's love. I don't like how the United States has brought everything into how they still kill and destroy from other countries just to bring us back material gains. I don't like how they do all these different things, but I still understand that it was created with love because they wanted to. I love it. I understand it because I know that they're here to be able to. They're doing it from the hearts, and they're not. I don't feel like everybody's doing it out of evil intent. Even people that think, oh, it's too many humans on this earth. I don't agree with it. I think it's stupid. But then I also understand it. I also have an understanding that that's how you perceive life. And you're not saying like, I don't feel like everything is coming from an evil intent. because I understand it, but we do have to know that there are certain things that is low vibrational and not, and there is something that's called like universal law. So anything you do is always going to come back to you. There's always like gonna have balance in the world. Like there's gonna be a balance. So if we tear down these trees, something, it's cause and effect. It's basically a cause and effect. So if you feel like this is what you're supposed to do and it's not righteous, then you're gonna have an effect to show us it's not righteous.
Now, my thing about
Hey,
that
Zandy.
is us facing a huge society around people that eat, think on the high vibrations, people that only eat fresh fruits and green leafy plants.
Peace, Jen.
I don't know if that type of an environment. Like I don't know if anybody. I don't know if any. I don't know no killers
Peace,
or
Zandy.
no races on fresh fruits and green leafy plants. I don't even think that would be possible.
So you're saying that you don't know if
on the negative that's on that vibration. And I think we want to keep on focusing to keep on vibrating higher instead of thinking about the whole low aspect. So
That's
I
a
would
fact.
say let's grab this environment and let's just create a new environment.
Yeah, and that's a part of knowing yourself. When giving yourself the best, is to say, forget this because this is not giving myself, this is not loving myself. I'm going to go and, surround myself with love, with things that are adding on to me, things that serve me. So that's a part of loving yourself, is letting go of stuff that don't serve you. Peace, Dandy.
Right.
I love the
Like
inspiration you teach
when
me.
you say as far as just
I'm thankful.
like I say, people that are in this, like I say, the war is not. I just don't see no type of benefit when we talk about war. Like when we look at this society, I very, very don't get and understand anything to do with a war or anything to do with slavery. Like that whole piece is totally, like I say, we can be in slavery, but we don't agree with it as far as like the law, the way that's set up. If we let people slide, letting that pass over. It's kind of like we didn't have no rights or choice to be here in this country. It was kind of just like when we think about what you was talking about as far as just like the system is set up for conscious as far as they're trying to think about it. I just don't think they're trying to set up a better environment for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, as far as slavery, it's like slavery started in Africa. Like black people had slaves,
Right.
and I feel like it comes from maybe the pyramid of certain people dictating certain things and may have certain knowledge, and other people or are under that. Also, I feel like the reason and how Baba Jesus explains it is, okay, black people was already doing the slavery thing. White people come in and they do it in an extreme way, where supposedly they were beating and raping and all this type of stuff, and that was a manifestation from our mind, our thoughts, to show us that this is not righteous, and it had to come into it in a different form to show us like this is not righteous. So when we see it in ourselves, it's just like I think where the Bible says, from the knowledge, the tree of good and evil, of knowledge of good and evil. It's kind of like before that, there are certain things going on, but we did not see it as evil. We did not understand it as to be evil. We thought that everything was good, or vice versa. And it's kind of like, now that we see it on the outside of us, and we're seeing like, oh, this is wrong, like how they're doing it, then we're able to, it's showing ourselves. And that's what I wanted to say anyways, like life is a mirror. The things that you see on the outside, it's showing you yourself. It's to look at yourself and figure out how you can be the best version of yourself. So and also, well, I was about to say one more thing. It's just basically like life is a mirror, and all is mental. This is a hermetic principle. All is mental, and we have to understand that it's like whatever I see, whatever you see within me, exists within you. Whatever you see outside and however you perceive it, it's coming from your mind. So I understand, like, okay, if you start to think like, oh, if I put this type of stuff in my body, there's people that smoke cigarettes and live forever, but it's not to say it's a righteous thing. It's to say, like, so it's basically like you can live a long time smoking cigarettes because in your mind you're saying it's okay, it's good. But we also have to go into reality to be like, okay, if you didn't smoke cigarettes, would you live a better life? So it's just to see what's best for you. And also not only that, but to be all the way authentic and 100 with yourself and look into nature and learn a lot from nature. We learn a lot from nature. And, we'll see that, nature don't do a lot of the stuff that we do, and we learn a lot of the stuff we're learning is from nature. And a lot of the technologies that we created is from nature. It's from us. We are nature as well. So it's looking at our technologies. The computer is like our brain, and we looking at the technologies of ourselves and of nature, and we're creating things outside of it. This is a manifestation of thoughts. So we do have to understand how important thoughts are. And I still don't get how certain gurus will say that thoughts aren't everything. They tell you not to think. But I don't get that. I don't get that because thoughts are.
Yeah, I think we all have to think for ourselves. I think, as far as being a leader, that's the mechanics of thinking for yourself. It's kind of like you gotta be able to lead and think for yourself and the others that are around you. It's like I wouldn't want to be in an organization of people that don't think on their own or think in the moment. That's kind of like as I was talking with a couple of my band members, I was like, man, y'all got to really be able to improvise and apply the information as far as like the school stuff at the same time, and don't expect me to think to give you parts or give you this or give you that all the time. It's kind of like you gotta go ahead and think on your own, and that's what I'm trying to say. It's kind of like to being a great leader is somebody that is going to navigate on their own as far as being able to perceive and take in type of information and know what to process at the right time.
Right. So if we were all in a jungle, it's kind of like, and you're looking at certain things, you're running through the jungle and stuff. This is all you know. You're still thinking about the things. Like it's a certain symbols that's going to come into you that's going to show you certain thoughts and certain things to have. So it's important to understand, how you think and stuff, and be a leader of yourself. Like look within and understand how your thoughts are running and vibrate those higher. But I was saying one more thing. It was like you have to like being a leader. Like you gotta know what is righteous for you. It's gonna come to me though, but you gotta know what's righteous and what's right. So yeah, I just don't get it with the.
Keep going.
I just don't get it with the certain spiritual people that say that, because thoughts are very important. What I was gonna say is basically like I think we've been programmed to not think, and that's going to take us back to not thinking. Like I understand that some gurus may be telling you not to think because we're overthinking and we're going into the wrong directions. And if you just sit still for a second and take a step back, then you'll find the right thoughts. But it's not to not think at all. And I think we've been programmed, maybe through slavery, through the church, stuff like that, to just listen through just the government, through like school systems, that we don't go within and be like, is this within me? Because our like it, things come from our DNA, but we have to, and from our food, anything you're in consistent communication with is going to program you. So we got to understand that too. But I feel like even in the church, like or in certain, even with Black leaders, they will say certain words based on the European system. They'll say certain words that are big words, and you'll be like, I don't even know that, so they must be smarter than me. And what you do is just bow down and be like, whatever they say is true, because they sound so intellectual, without going within and figuring out, is it really true for you? Like, without actually asking more questions, asking your universe question, asking them questions. Because like with me, I used to ask, like in church, I used to fall asleep as a child. I fall asleep all the time because I feel like I wasn't meant to get the message. It was just wasn't resonating, and a lot of people have. But when I got older, I started asking questions. Like each pastor, there's pastors knocking on my door at one time, and it was different pastors, like a white one, an African one. They'll come and knock on my door. So I was like, well, let me entertain this and ask questions. And there, I get to a point where they couldn't answer certain questions. So then I was just like, I was beginning to be like a lot of people now, being like, well, fuck the Bible, this ain't Jesus, this ain't real, and this and that. Until I did come across somebody that's able to break down the Bible, like in ways that it just resonates with me. It resonates with my DNA. So it's just not to conform with what you're being taught, because that's another problem nowadays. Like, you have to understand, whatever you believe becomes your reality. So when you believed in Santa Claus, that was your reality up until you stopped believing in it. So you have to understand, like, a lot of the things that we have been programmed to believe is based off another person, another man's agenda. They want you to know ABCs and think, this is a tree and this is the sky, but they don't teach you beyond that. They just tell you, like, this is how you're supposed to do things, but you just are programmed from birth to just go along with these things instead of looking within yourself. There's cultures, there's tribes around the world that does not do that to their children. They let their children like venture off and do, and let them like figure it out from themselves. Because you think a child's so young and dumb. No, a child's really smart. And if you pay attention, you can learn stuff from your children. Like, your children are actually manifestations here for you to learn from them. Children are here you can learn different things from them. They'll teach you some stuff if you stop being ignorant, thinking that you know everything. Knowledge is power. We are misinformed. Had to take a call. I let myself. I'm going to watch chess for a minute and wind down. Okay, I'm about to come over there.
I was about to ask you, what do you think, as far as what do you want as far as like the next generation, and including like your children to pick up from you, as far as like when we talk about pick up where you left off, what is the main thing out of everything that you would teach that you want to leave them with, as far as like that's my biggest question. And as far as like, what do you want to see for the next generation moving on?
I feel like that a man, and I have boys, but anyway, I feel like that we have to have knowledge of self, true knowledge of self, to where when we have that knowledge, we take it and we apply it. A lot of people know that the things that we teach about, but they don't apply it, and they go back to serving a different system. I feel like a man is here to create his own system, his own government. You're supposed to govern your own people. Kings are, and a chief, and Indians are supposed to be able to help with that government as well. So as in a certain way of living. So I feel like the men or children need to be in tune and have knowledge of self, love themselves, which is to understand themselves on a deeper level beyond what you've been taught. And I feel like you have to get in tune with nature, because nature is what is. Nature is what sustains us. And you have to know the importance of that. And I really want to see and understanding what God is and your thoughts and stuff. So understanding you are God, you are your thoughts, and you are creating your own reality based on your perception. And I want them to look within and create their own ways of life that's in tune with nature, though. Because I feel like at this time, we're at the time that we're in the world, that most people needs to heal by going back to nature, going back to knowledge of self. So after that, after the healing process, I'm not sure. It's actually it's kind of like there's patterns in the universe. So at one time we were living this way, then we get out of balance, and we get back in balance. So it may happen like that, but I know from my elite next generations, I want to see them like really in tune with themselves and creating tribes, like creating their own ways of life. I kind of look at Africa on it with their different governments. At one point I was just like, you know, why can't they get all on the same page? But then after coming into knowledge of self, I understand that these are different kings that created their own ways of life, and everybody maybe not need to live in the same type of way, like, but I just want people to really get back in tune with nature, to heal from the stress that you know, the system has caused on them. And I really want them to have knowledge of self. And
Right.
and you're right, knowledge is power. And I say that a lot of people be like, oh, knowledge ain't power, it's only if you use it. But to me, knowledge is power. If you get knowledge, you have the power. But if you don't use it, that is not nobody's fault but yours. Like, it's just like if I have lights in my home, but I don't use the lights, that's because you just didn't use it. You got the power, you're just not using it. So that's how I feel like knowledge is power.
So, all right. So we already have a blueprint as far as of people that are creating an environment, like I say, a tropical environment for people to eat, sleep, drink, and kind of, like I say, manifest and do what they're supposed to do.
Live life
in the circadian rhythm. Yeah, live life too. So in the next, like, as far as like that, my question is kind of like, this is like the starting point. This is kind of like the beginning of where it begins, as far as so the ultimate goal is kind of like, we want to see change, and we're going to probably be applying more and more information, considering the older, I don't want to say old, because like I say, we're infinity. And it's kind of like, the more wiser that we get, there's going to be more knowledge. So my question is, do you see yourself doing this for like another 40, 50 years from now? You see yourself in this change?
Yeah, I see myself continuously teaching. I got a lot of wisdom, but gaining way more wisdom. And I see myself in a village, a tribe. I feel like that is a very important thing that we need to do, is find our people that we can like have a community, have a village with, that thinks, you know, pretty much. It's not to say you don't have your own mind, but has the same like morals and principles and the ways of life, and build together. Because if you haven't noticed, like, food is important, your thoughts are important, but another thing that is important, your environment is important, you know, your environment, but also the people that's around you is very important. If you ever had a conversation with somebody and it was so good, like energies were so good between you that you forgot to eat, or you have a conversation, you know, with somebody and it was so bad that you didn't even want to eat, it's because you're feeding off of each other's energies. So I feel like having a tribe and a village is very important for the future, for everybody to group up. This is the age of Aquarius. It's the age of information. What you see with all this information coming to you, don't go overboard with information. You just need to know what you need to know in life. It's not to know everything. It's to know what you need to know in life. And it's the age of Aquarius, which means the age of groups. And I really believe that we're going back to groups. We're going back to tribal living. And sometimes it might not be your immediate family, to where it's like your blood, because sometimes the blood don't get it. Sometimes they just totally on different frequencies. But for right now, while you're building that up, is to find your frequency, find the people that are on the same type of purpose, the same type of mission as you, and go from there. Yeah.
Do you think that the information changes with the next generation as far as the lack of information that we know as elders? I'm talking about as far as with the next generation coming up into the future, they're going to be adding links that we probably haven't. We're probably missing links that they're connecting to.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking is kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, okay, I do picture myself as an elder in a tribe and still preaching and practicing and being able to like give that guidance and to the younger generation. But I'm very open-minded, and I know that, you know, like 10 years ago, the world was a different place. 20 years ago, the world was different. Like you know, the collective was different. So I know 20 years from now, the world is going to be different. So it's not to say that just because you're an elder and you have a lot of wisdom that you can't learn certain things from the younger generations. So I would say as a good leader, you're supposed to still be open-minded enough to hear other people out that may not know everything that you know, but they might be able to give you some information that you need to know in order to be the best leader that you can be. So I do see that, you know, if I'm able to give all this knowledge to a future generation, then that generation may come up and have more knowledge. They may apply more to that. So I am open to that.
Due to the circumstance that they're going through,
right?
Our lives are different than the next generation that's going to probably come up. Like I say, they're going to be probably dealing with a ton of different struggles and another type of era versus what we're talking about. They're going to look back at this point and they're going to see like, wow, this was a generation that talked, that dealt, and that was kind of around people with masks, and they had to get their information across to these people. Like, it's going to probably be either a lot easier or a little harder. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that as far as you think things are going to change and get a lot better?
I do feel like there's only a certain percentage that's going to be able to be like, oh, I'm letting go of all this stuff that the government is offering me, you know, to be able to go and do that. One thing with my children, why I wouldn't want to take them just out of the system like that and be like, live in nature and do things totally different than what you know. Because I feel like if you do that, then when they get a little bit older, they're going to be looking at America like other countries are and be like, oh, it looks better over there. It looks shinier over there. The grass looks greener, but it's not. It's really not. So I would want them to have that experience for themselves like I did, and then make a choice, a decision for themselves to be like, I'm changing this. I'm done with it. Like my children are hustlers, and that's what I installed in them. That's how my mind was when I created. So it's kind of like, I know that they're gonna still wonder about how much money can I really make in this system? How much shit can I really get? So I want them to experience whatever they need to experience up until the point where they're gonna be like, look, I need to go. And if they for some reason said no, then I would still believe that the awareness and consciousness that I'm putting out will maybe not affect them, but it will affect their kids or the next kids, the next kids. So the internet, I believe, is still gonna be here.
Do you still think they're gonna be using cosmic currency in the future?
Well, yeah, cosmic currency is basically kind of like manifestation. It's kind of just it's basically just to focus on the things that you're good at, and the right things will come to you. So like I was saying earlier, like some people like, I want this $1 million. I want this $1 million. They focus on that, but not realizing maybe it's something different that they may need. To me, I feel like the people around you is better than the $1 million. Like having those good people around you is better than that. Having like, you know, being able to live like around in a good environment is better than those type of things. So, you know, it's basically and actually like, okay, currency, I already looked into currency and stuff. That's another download, but it's kind of like, if you focus, it's like you're saying you want a certain, like, okay, what'd you say? Cosmic currency. It's just basically like, yeah, you're gonna do what you love to do. So the thing is, a lot of people, when they're chasing money, they start to do things that they don't really, really want to do. It's called like selling your soul. So you're starting to sell your soul just to get money. But if you focus on the things you love doing, that's the better exchange of energy, because money is not like everything. Money is just an exchange of energy. You're giving your energy to something to be able to get something back. But if you're giving your energy to things that you love, you're only going to get happiness back in the end anyways. So I feel like cosmic currency is be here. It's always going to be here. I feel like, you know, I understand the American system. It just got up into greed. It got to greed to where it's like, it started with barter and trade to me. And then it got to where it's like, oh, I need this, this, and that, and everybody's greedy. And not only that, I feel like the people that's running things are in fear, and they want control, and they want to conquer, and they want everybody using their energy to serve them so that they don't never go out of business. It's a business. So I feel like that's the way of life. I feel like Europeans, I do feel like that some Europeans are just out of tune with who they are. They don't have knowledge of self to that degree, and they know that they can use Black people in order to power their system. I just feel like they seen the power in Black people a long time ago, and they know the power. And not only that, we was just talking about the melanin this morning, and how, you know, I believe that they are extracting melanin from Black people in order to put it in themselves, in order to create their little machines and stuff like that. So I just feel like knowledge itself is so important, and not to be so caught up into the material gains of the world, but understanding consciousness. One reason I changed is because I was chasing money so much that I was like, if I give my children some land, if I give my children all this money, then they'll be good. But then I realized that if I die, I transition, and then my children got 25 million, right? They can lose that within the next year. If they don't have knowledge, they can, somebody else, because this is a monopoly game, it's a system, it will come in and be able to take that from you. So there's this guy that my mother had worked for, and he has a lot of money, and somebody came in and tripped in his establishment and sued him for $500,000. So it's just that easy, because this is a game, it's a system. So to me, I feel like leaving consciousness, awareness, and knowledge is more important to pass down that to future generations, the material gains.
Right. I kind of feel like too, with the entire playlist that's going to be recorded, like I say, not only as far as what Lucas Fria's life is doing, but also with carbonation, as far as with the entire playlist, that is going to be like for all of the children, including the children that are current, like when we talk about people like Baby Jaw, all of them in carbonation, that playlist is going to be there for them, for them to take in the information and see where everybody was at, and look from where this whole piece started to where it became. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to add their own tweaks to the whole story on what they're supposed to bring into the movement. They're going to have their own. So I mean, they're
gonna further it. It's kind of like a business, you know. The children first. Some of them will, some of them won't. Some of them might be against it, you know. But the people that have that in them, they're gonna like further that. They're gonna believe in it. Like your father taught you all these things, and you believe in it. You furthered it. You could have had a brother that be like, no, I don't believe in none of that. Like as they get older. So it's just like certain people are gonna.
If you create, like I say, that's what I kind of see with carbonation is. It's a world based around it's a society based around nature, and I don't see, like, y'all don't have television, or y'all don't really watch anything out of tune.
No, only things that feed us, that serve us. That's what you should only be focused on. You should only be in contact with things that are added on to you. So many people get distracted.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. It's kind of like I don't see no way on how the child could be directed into another energy, as far as like wanting to go into Babylon. I don't see how that would happen if the child is only educated around the society that brings it up. which y'all are going to be the system.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's how you change it. You raise a child from birth into that type of environment. That's all they really know. So, and that's, yeah, that's good. But then it's also could be a gene that's passed down that makes them wonder. Like there's people in other tribes that are like, I want to go to the United States. I want to go do this, and it can make them wonder like what it's like on the other side instead of like passing down. Like there's like people that want to pass down their business to their children, but then there's certain children that don't want to be like that. They don't believe in what their parents taught them and stuff like that. But there's certain children that will. But I do believe that most people, that's growing up in that tribe or in that environment or in that government, yeah, they're going to want to continue that. That's all they really know. They're going to want to continue that. So that's why it's really important.
I can speak on this much is I've seen, because like I say, my family and a couple of other families were practicing vegan diet, and they raised their kids around vegan diet. Now, the biggest issue is kind of like what Chief was talking about was that, yeah, we were in the system doing this piece. So that was a big flaw. It wasn't a flaw for me because I it was like one of those things where I can look at the system and kind of break it apart. Like I know how to really, really. I got that mindset. I just got a very, very interesting. So it's possible for a child to be brought up in the system and to think around box or think outside the box. That's what we're trying to get out of square.
Yeah, because it's just like epigenetics.
So yeah. So with all of my friends coming up that were in the mucus diet, they never made. I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying some of them didn't make that connection where they went back into that way of thinking about as far as like what to put. Like I think putting ink on your arm is unnatural as far as with tattoos and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
All of these type of things, like I say, just that whole they went back into that. Now we're still friends. Like I said, we still communicate, but it's kind of just like I seen how they came up. Like I say, my thing about it was I was always around the elders, and when I say that, I was always in the room listening to the elders as far as trying to gather what I can gather. My friends were upstairs playing games and shit. They wasn't really studying the shit like you know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't as serious about. It's like when my father put me onto this information, it was kind of like this made sense. It was just the way he spoke about this thing.
Yeah, it's in your DNA. It makes sense. You're gravitated towards it.
Yeah. It's kind of just like what. But that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like I just don't see in carbonation how that would even go wrong, considering everybody is in the tropics. The kids are learning from the parents.
Yeah.
And they're going to be educated by all of these videos and by other principals growing up. So I just don't see. I think what Chief was talking about, like I say, getting out of the system was right. That was probably the right move.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm about to say this. Mixed by Jay, he said, is there good as distraction? Distractions is a thing that prevents someone from giving full attention to something. And yeah, you can, I guess it can be good distractions. Is like, okay, you're distracting yourself with something good instead of like going along with, something else. So I guess it would be a good distraction. It's basically about focus. Where are you giving your attention to? And you have to just be conscious and aware of where you put your attention.
Now, I did get my focus to, like I say, I'm a big gamer too. I'm also into all of that stuff as well, but I didn't really let it, like I say, consume my mind. I knew how to really. I was always listening to Malcolm X interviews. I was always checking out dialogues and trying to really study. I feel like some of my peers,
Peace, self-made.
they went into the conscious community as far as just hating all white people. I was kind of not down with that. So it's like you're just gonna hate on white folks.
Peace, Mama Zoka.
Talk about
Peace, God. I just want to say keep pushing. I love myself.
I love myself too.
I love myself.
We're gonna keep pushing.
Yeah. That's the most important thing. Is kind of just like I say, to really stay in focus on this whole piece as far as like my mission is to do this in the next 40 and 50 years from now on. Like never break off of this path. Like I say, that's the huge thing as far as I look at myself. I think that carbonation is it gives ideas into another direction, and I think that if we all are, if we're all in the community together, as far as to being able to be in allies with each other, as far as it would have been beautiful to see like somebody like Malcolm X an ally with Huey P. Newton when he was doing his thing at the time, and ally with Martin, because I mean those guys were communicating. They were all having these panels, these discussions all together. So I don't feel like it's only one movement that should only have one view.
Well,
You know what
I mean, there's just a difference between right and what is true and what is not. See, Malcolm X and all these leaders, I respect them from doing what they believe to be true, but I feel like people have to go deeper, and a lot of them are sellouts to a certain point. They start to be like, be victim to like having girls, or be victim to making money. The sellouts to a certain point and not going deeper within. And that's why I agree with spirituality. Like when you look into a lot of people like Martin Luther King, I'm grateful for like certain things that people have done, like based on their own mission and purpose. But also like I look at where were they grew up at, how are they programmed and stuff like that. So to me, I just feel like the answer is what we're teaching, and that's just I don't know. I mean, I'm open-minded still to hear like people out, but I just really believe that the answer is just going back to nature, is to be in tune, is to have knowledge of self. And I know Malcolm X and certain people taught about knowledge of self, but to me, like how they were living it wasn't too much of a reflection of it. Is to because I feel like why still be in the same system that you say is oppressing you? And to this day, there's people like Umar and certain people like that still are chasing money in the system and not understanding that's powering the system. But they still gonna want that money because they feel like you can utilize money to be able to do certain things. But once you're like teaching people and you're a leader now, so now you got to be the change that you want to see. So
right. Well, I think with Malcolm X, very, very important was the time he was coming up, as far as like the time when he was pushing this information, very, very important. And at the same time, everything was against him.
Yeah, I was more like, I really liked how Marcus Garvey and the Black Panther Party done stay. Like, I like the Black Panther Party, and I seen with Marcus Garvey trying to get their own boats and stuff like that. I feel like that's a step further. Black Panther being able to police their own communities, making their own things. Though they thought they were looking at it like all Black people are just together and stuff. No, just because you're Black don't mean that you're righteous. Like, a lot of Black people infiltrated their organization and done them wrong. So it was more about the frequency of the people, not just the skin color, even though people may have been treated differently from their skin color. But other Black people came up in the system even back then. There's even certain Black slave owners. So
this is my opinion on that is, I think at that time, I think it was needed for that time period, because you got to understand, during the 60s, and I mean the 50s
yeah.
and the 60s, we didn't really have that like when they was putting television on, there was white people on the television.
Well, why are we even watching television? I feel like it started with like, okay, they started looking at what white people have. Like, before, there was a certain time in history where Black people had communities where they worked together, where they was helping each other, and they was building up their own communities. Until they started being like, well, the white people school better. They get to ride a school bus, and and then they started to integrate. And I feel like that's where things went wrong, because you're starting to look at somebody else and thinking like their shit is better, and not knowing that yours is actually better in your own ways and stuff. So of course the government was like, yeah, come integrate, so we can control you too.
Yeah, check this out. This is what I noticed. I don't know if you keep this, but this is really very, very deep. Was, when Martin and all of them guys, they was talking about as far as having, like, wanting to go to school with these white people.
Yeah.
That's what he was talking about. But they never acknowledged own schools that was almost like, as far as like dumps or trying to fix them up. They didn't really want to fix, like it was always trying to be a part of this white system.
Yeah.
Which I totally disagree with.
Yeah, I made a video about that on my YouTube.
Yeah. At the same time, it's kind of just like, when you see a movement, what Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seals was talking about, they wasn't really just talking about Black power. They were really talking about like, as far as like rights and stuff, as far as with the system. Like, it was so unique at the time, because they was like interpreting these laws like a Bible, as far as like the white man's laws, and really breaking that stuff down and making their own laws.
Yes.
So, my thing about it was unique at that time period, but we didn't really see too much resolve out of that. So, yeah, going back into nature is the next move, right, for us as people.
So Mixed by Ja.
And what I've seen too is they were still talking about eating neck bones and hamburgers and stuff. It was no plant-based lifestyle. So when we look at those type of organizations, we can only take certain things and certain ideas, because there was not a lot of information back then versus now.
Okay, so do you believe everyone's life is predestined? Mixed by Jay, like, yes, I believe that everything is predestined. Like, everything has already happened, and we're just here to experience it. And I do believe that, like, everything, like, we're here to experience it. So, that can help you. Like, if certain things go wrong with you, you have to figure out, like, why is this happening? It's here to show you something about yourself. You're here to go ascend. You're here to ascend. And as far as Martin Luther King, like I made a video about this on my YouTube, and you know, there was one point where I did not like Martin Luther King, and I felt like he was trying to lead Black people into the wrong direction. But then I kind of realized, you know, we have Martin Luther King streets, and white people put Martin Luther King in their history books. And I believe it's because Martin Luther King was here to change. Martin Luther King was here to change white people and how they do things. So I believe that Martin Luther King made a bigger impact on white people, but he did not really service the Black people like he was supposed to, as he act like he was doing. But I also looked deeper into it and realized that him plus his father went to American school system. They wasn't in like, okay, it was so-called a Black school system, but it was created by white people or white women actually. And so I believe that they were programmed. He was programmed to think like that. And I believe that these school system will like program you to think a certain way. And then when you get that gift, you got a gift of gab, you're able to teach and stuff like that. They're going to put you, you know, they're going to put you up. So they put him out there and he was this, he died for this. And, you know, he was like, they praise him because they actually made them look at themselves. He actually made white people look at themselves and be like, damn, we're fucked up for doing that. So that's what I believe. And not only that, there's going to be, of course, other people in the government that's going to look at it like, okay, we can utilize this in this way in order to, you know, get the Black people to this and that. But, you know, yeah, that's what I feel.
Yeah.
Do you think it's more about class more than racism? Yeah, because there's white people that are poor. And if you notice, like after slavery, there's a lot of Black people took white people's jobs because they would work for cheaper pricing. So there were certain white people that like, I'm not going to work for that low price. And then the Black people took their jobs, and it is like a hierarchy. It's like the pyramid. Like we learned a lot of stuff from the Egyptians. White people learned a lot. Europeans and different philosophers in history, like they learned a lot from Egyptian people. So that's why it's important to just go all the way back. And really, I don't know if it's just me, but I can think within myself and be like, oh, you know what? I think it was like this, you know, before we were, you know, transition or, you know, went to this type of thinking. I was like, I could just picture it like, oh, you know, we probably did like this and like that. So, yeah, I believe it's more about class. It's like, oh, how you power the system. So if you power the system.
I mean, this is my thought.
And Black people stick together. White people gonna stick together with their people too. So it's like it's kind of like you're gonna gravitate and want to look out for more people that look like you. It's probably like a natural type thing. Like, you know, white ants or red ants and Black ants are gonna gravitate to their own type of people. But once we start to have more awareness that it's not just about, because there was philosophers like Plato and Socrates that were like, you know, everything is about matter and about material. So this was a philosophy that white people took and was like, you know, we got to get all the material on earth. There was another philosopher that was just like, no, it's deeper than that. It's more than just the material. So that philosopher was still up there, but they believed more that it was material because of what we can see with our eyes and our senses. But we have to understand that it's deeper than just the material of the world. It's an energy. So when certain people grasp that and understand that, then they'll start looking at people not just from their skin color, because that's a manifestation. It's something that we should look at, but it's also look at them for their mind and how they do things, their morals and their principles in life.
So I wonder how long I've been on this. I think that the television back then, like in the 60s, 50s, and 60s, and later on after that, was used like the internet because this was the only thing that we had. So when we seen people like Malcolm X, all of these Black leaders get on television, I think this was very, very, very important because Black people had televisions too later on. So what I'm saying is I think that it was very, very important because everybody was trying to tune in to get some type of understanding and knowledge on these guys as far as like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and all of these.
Yeah, these are symbols. Like they're symbols.
Yeah.
So
when it's kind of like when you look at organizations like Carbonation, do you think, let me ask you this, do you think Carbonation could have been set up back in the 60s? It would probably been ran a lot harder, considering a lot of racism that was still going on back in the day, as far as white people are still hating on black people, and like I say, Ku Klux Klan members, so I would imagine that for Carbonation to accept white people in the group, you would have to be very, very careful with who's coming into this group, considering like they could be a spy sent from the FBI. From what we have seen, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I believe that carbonation stands for going back to nature. It's to get out of the system and go into the tropics and live in an environment that is conducive to you, especially with melanated people. So I believe that there is a time in history where white people was shipping people back to their land. They was like, get out of America. They shipped black people, slave people that was enslaved. They shipped them out. There was like a little thing where they was like, get out of here, or whatever. So so even with Malcolm X, he went to different countries. So you're able like to go. So I feel like if Carbonation was able to be in that time and tell people like, we need to just stop and don't even be a part of the system. There is people that was doing that. Even people that was enslaved. I heard interviews on YouTube, but when I was doing my research, and they was like, don't fall into the money thing. Don't go into debt with this system and stuff like that. So and I also believe that certain slave owners was against the system. They was like, no, you're not going to come in and try to change up what we're doing. So I know people get emotional and stuff like that and think because all the movies that we've seen, but it's an energy behind it. And you said you think Martin was made to be the standard for Black leader to prevent us from thinking bigger than Martin? No, I mean, I felt like that at one time, but I also feel like he was so big, not just because of Black people, but because of white people looked at him like, how you're standing up and stuff like that. I feel like white people praised him more, and there are certain white people that didn't, but I do feel like that white people kind of like looked at him. And I feel like the government got the idea from what his vision, oh, we should all be together. The government was like, you know what, that kind of makes sense. I could use you and I can utilize Black people. So I think the government probably looked at it like, oh, you're going to lead Black people to come to my schools? You're going to lead Black people to come over here and empower my system? Then I feel like that's why another reason why they put him high, because he's somebody that brought Black people to their system instead of like separating and integrating instead of segregating.
Yeah, I feel like that Martin Luther King was somebody that white people felt safe with. As far as like, if you know what I mean by that, it's kind of like they're very, very cool with somebody that's he's not saying nothing too militant. So we're gonna push this guy. We're gonna have a Martin Luther King Day. If you know,
right? They're gonna want somebody they can control to a degree. Like if they tell you you're not supposed to say this, then don't say it. Okay, so my dad said, is it possible that Martin Luther King and Malcolm X was addressing an era in time the best way they could? Yeah, I feel like that all the leaders, they're doing things from their heart, what they believe to be true. And that's what I really do like appreciate them doing that's their mission and their purpose. So I believe that they are doing what they believe to be true. I don't believe that they're doing it in some evil intent. Or I just feel like that most Black people, like I look at Farrakhan with the Million Man March, and I'm like, well, why can't you bring it together? I just feel like you have to look a little bit further into the future to see if the solution is really, really righteous. And even right now, people are pushing Black-owned businesses, this and that. But I'm just saying, like, okay, it's good to have your own like way of life and own way of creating energies to come into your life and go out. But it's like when we're doing it to serve the same system that you're saying is bad and oppressing you, like I don't feel like people are really looking deeper into it to show like, okay, you're teaching that America's so bad, But you're saying like, well, if America's so bad, but if you give me reparations, I'll be fine. Like they're gonna give you reparations so you can shut the hell up for a little bit, and then your future, the next generation is gonna be crying again. So it's like, oh, give me $20 an hour, and then I'll feel like then I feel like I'm not a slave. They give you $20 an hour, they raise the price on everything else. Then the future generations are going to be doing the same thing. It's like a pattern. The future generation is going to say, well, damn, $20 ain't enough. I need 30. So it's like a pattern. I feel like we have to look further into the future to see if it's actually a solution that is going to leave our future generations not begging for the same type of thing.
Now, let me ask you this. What do you feel about the movement of the Ku Klux Klan, the KKK, what they stand for, and do you have any type of positive feelings or any type of regret? Like, what is Carbonation's view about those type of movements like KKK?
Well, I've never heard Baba G speak on the KKK. I can see the evil, and we can all see the evil in it. But as far as a positive type of thing, I would say that, I mean, I don't really know their ways of life. To me, what I felt was that white people after slavery, they were just like, I want to be separated. Some of them didn't, some of them did. But I could feel like certain organizations that come together with only white people or even only black people, and they don't want to integrate or have any dealings with other people, I feel like that they are just trying to just come into their own shits. And I do feel like that that maybe certain people it's kind of like I look at it like this, like white people moved out of a certain areas to go into their own area, and because they wanted just to be around their own people that look like them. And then a black person comes into their neighborhood, and they might not want you there if it's because your color, because of the music, because of anything, because of what they've been programmed to think. Because white people being programmed just like black people being programmed to think, oh, black people are so bad and so mean and stuff like that, which is not. It's true. It's just how we're being programmed by the system. So I feel like everybody has their right to only be around the people that they want to be around. But if white people go into the black neighborhood and be like, I'm gonna hang you, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna do that's obviously not right. But if you want to just be around your own group of people and somebody else tries to come in, like, you might have a problem with it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I say,
Martin Luther King helped the government change a lot.
Like I say, it was a piece that was edited out of like I say, one of the major censored pieces out of Malcolm X's movie. I don't know if you ever heard about, but they censored one clip out of that movie where he talked about the pig as far as why we're not supposed to eat swine, and he made a valid point. It was kind of like the pig is sloppy as far as it's a very, very sloppy ass animal, and we develop characteristics of the animal itself that as far as what we think about, like anything that what he was trying to make a point was anything that we eat is the characteristics of what we're going to have as people.
Yeah.
Or what we are, but we shouldn't eat these type of foods. So when you think about KKK, Ku Klux Klan members, I think that their diet, like they say, I don't think they was on a plant-based or vegetarian diet at all. Like I said, these people were eating a ton of mucus, ton of pus, and like I say,
out of tune. They're out of balance. They're out of tune. They're out of balance. This is why they can create all this weird ass foods and stuff like that.
Yeah, they had the characteristics of a pig, of a sloppy animal. Like I said, if you're processing sloppy things or any type of animals that like I say, that just are messy eaters or whatever, you're going to act as that. So,
Yeah, like
I
we
mean,
teach that your food is your information. So whatever you're putting in your body, and even that you're being in consistent
right.
communication with, that's information that you're taking on. And then it's like, okay, you said, do you believe do you believe our spirits ascend to new bodies and life just recycles? Like I believe spirit is energy, and our soul is the source. Like I believe, yes, I do believe that we're like immortal beings, that we don't die. It's our energy that keeps going, our consciousness, our awareness that we bring to humanity, it keeps going. So right now we're just in this in using this body as an avatar to walk the earth. But even when we go to sleep, we're still traveling in different dimensions of life. So I do believe that once people say die, but it's like a transition. You transform into another type of being. So you transform into another dimension. That's what I believe. Because mostly I believe that because our consciousness, our awareness, just like the Martin Luther King brought here, whoever else brought here, like it's still alive. Like Jesus is still alive within us. Like so I don't believe we die because of that. Like the things, whatever you put into your reality is gonna be transformed. So if you had somebody, a person that died in your family, supposedly, that energy is still with you. Like there is still there. Like, you know, it didn't go nowhere. It's still there. Whatever you have came in contact with is still there. It just transformed into you. And now you're transforming into somebody else. So I don't believe it. I just believe that consciousness can't die.
Yeah, honestly believe, I think that we're immortal, and I think that death is unnatural.
Yeah.
I think that, like
exactly.
I say, we transition, we put ourselves into that
mind state,
that species, as far as like, yeah, when we started killing and slaughtering other beings, and like I say, just destroying ourselves. Like I think we reached a point, a level of destruction in humanity,
right,
where like we're paying for all of those karma, the curses through our karma now. So the ultimate goal is, I think, is immortality, as far as where we can live infinitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like when you how we teach it, or Babaji has taught that it's basically like we see death because of we're doing something wrong. Like we're not doing, it's something that we're out of balance with. So you're eating, we see a lot of people eating bad stuff, killing people for no reason, like causing harm and stuff like that. Like Babaji teaches that that's the reason why we see death, is because of we're out of balance. So it's here to show us something about ourselves, you know. So it's really amazing. But will that energy be reborn in the physical again?
He was talking about, why don't we see anything dead in nature? Like we don't see like no dead birds or no dead. We don't see nothing dying. Like nothing really dead in nature like that. Like the animals are not like where are dead birds? Where are dead squirrels?
Yes, Babaji has said that too. So you said, but will that energy be reborn in the physical again? It's basically like the physical is manifestation of the metaphysical. Energy is what it is. We created this reality with our minds. So I really don't get the question. It's kind of like, you know, whatever energy you uphold, you give that. If you're transferring that or sharing that with others, then that's going to continue in life. So if you transition, you're still, that energy that you passed on is still here and it's still going forward. So this is why it's important to be yourself and to know your mission, your purpose, and continuously like push what you're here to bring into humanity, and it's still going to be here. It's going to be more powerful. Like, so
yeah. I think, like I say, as far as with the information that we got, like I say,
Exactly.
we are very destined to achieve this information. Like I say, it's kind of like to be born into this information.
Right.
Like I say, I brought myself into this information. I brought myself into not eating meat and dairy.
Exactly.
Like I came to the existence of where I said, like I say, I portaled through here where I didn't want to eat none of that bull crap. So I feel like probably my last experience, I was probably a little bit more educated than I am, as far as like I was a little educated. I'm a little educated than I am now, as far as from my previous existence.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of just like the ultimate goal is just trying to, like I say, as far as reincarnation, when we talk about like reincarnation and trying to be reborn again, is I want to see the next generation go a little farther than me. So that's the whole thing. It's kind of like the next generation going a little farther in the transition. Like I say, where he's going to be a little cleaner than me. So I'll always still be living. But the ultimate goal, I think, is immortality. In my opinion, as far as we got to work on getting our bodies and our families' bodies to that level.
Yes, so my father said, energy cannot be created or dissipate. But that's exactly true. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It's only transformed. It's only like a transformation. So we have to understand we are light beings. We are energy. We are energy. And so many times we get caught up in the physical, but we have to understand that the physical is just a manifestation of the metaphysical. So we have to understand our stuff on a metaphysical level. Like it's just about looking beyond the surface. Peace, God. Just about looking beyond the surface and getting in tune with yourself, vibrating at your highest. I thought I would have been on here by now for like an hour, so I'm about to get off of here and I'm going to upload this on YouTube and hopefully we don't have no problems. And then I'm gonna come back.
I was about to say, is this gonna be on your what's the name of your channel?
Well, right now it's I'm gonna type it in the chat and
okay, I'm about to screenshot it.
Right now it's YouTube / Alicia Brooke, but I'm trying to figure it out because I know this is I'm just working on my portfolio in order to leave this. I feel like this is something very important to be able to leave for the future generations, and so I want everything to be good, so even the great grandkids can be able to look back and be like, find me easily. But of course they're going to do it anyways, because we all at some point are going to look back into our gene line and be like, what is it that we stood for.
I want to say one more thing about when we first talked about the thought. I think, like I say, the thought is, like I say, is for the future, as far as like the creation of the next generation and more to come, as far as being abundant and to really have more information coming into our minds, as far as where we can present for the next generation, and also having the next generation teach us as elders.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's very, very, very important. And I also want to say too that there's no other type of people that I think, like I say, is more sicker than the mucus pus world, as far as like they're very, very dumb and unknowledgeable to what we're trying to achieve. And I think, like I say, people that resonate with this, like I said, take it for what it is, and listen to the entire video while this is up on YouTube. Check this out, like I say, and apply it. Apply it to your life, whatever resonates.
Right.
And like I say, this is very, very important information. I'm thankful. I'm honored to be here talking to Honor.
Grateful.
So yeah.
All right,
I'll let you in.
Okay, I'm gonna be back on here in a little bit.
Okay.
All right, I love myself.
Love myself.
Okay, so I'm easy. I can like when people ask me questions, it's better for me to respond. It sparks my mind and different things. I got a lot of stuff I could talk about. Dang, I got 868 beings on that live. They were going in. So basically, if anybody wants to know where I be going live at, just inbox me. I'll send you the link, and you can hear about this type of knowledge. Some people can come on and talk on that platform as well. That was Flute. He's pure. He's a pure person. He just grew up in a certain way. So basically, I want to just say this. There's another thing. It's important to try to live in the now. And that means to just, instead of thinking about the past and the future and this, try to live in the now sometimes. Sometimes we're too far in the past and too far in the future that we forget to live. So a part of living is living in the now and embracing and appreciating life for what it is right then. So anytime that you feel yourself getting into a negative mindset, know that that's at that time you are serving your lower self. So you need to find a way to get back to balance. And one way to get back to balance is to do things that you like to do, but also live in the now. It's also look into what you're appreciative for, what you are grateful for. So and remember that your focus is everything. So once you start to focus on negative, it's basically manifestation is like this. When you're focusing on negative, it's like praying for negative things to happen to you. It's like praying those negative things into existence. But when you start to focus on the positive, on what you're grateful for, that is praying for those things to come into your reality. So stay positive, keep a healthy perspective, and I love myself.